Good morning, Let Your Culture of Safety Line Team. Welcome aboard to this episode. This is one of those times where I get to share and train a little bit, and we're going to be talking about the Energy Wheel Reinvented. Before we get into that, just a quick announcement. Bierer Meters, we're at our live line training center here in South Carolina. It is going to be a beautiful day here in February 2026. And it just so happens that this month kicks off our fourth anniversary. 4 years now. We have almost 90 lineman safety national webinars now. All you got to do is go to letyourcultureofsafety.com, check it out, go in there and click on the resources. Great resources. You can get all the lineman safety national webinars and then click down on the resources, go down to ECOS live wire stories. Great interviews, the best of the best in our trades, basically everywhere. Consultants, folks that have 40, 50 years experience, wonderful folks giving back, and organizations, companies giving back as well. So welcome aboard. Real quick, Bierer Meters. A lot of you all already know about us, but if you go to bierermeters.com, you can get our brochure, our 2025 brochure. We'll get a new one here soon, but just click on to the PDF file and download it. There's a lot of QR codes that show the training that we do, the safety that we do all around the country. Also go to Bierer Meters YouTube channel, and there's almost 700 videos now that you can use for your line teams back home. There's go over the playlist and just scroll down till you find the playlist you're looking for, whether it's one of our products or tools, our phasing meters, or voltage detectors, whatever. Just use that and you'll start seeing some training videos. My brother Joe Bierer, my nephew Ryan Bierer, they do a fabulous job on the training videos. We also have a Bierer USA pamphlet. This is 6 leaflets that show you all what we do for you. Bierer USA is utility support assistance. These are things we do to give back at no additional cost to you or your crews. Then we have a line worker safety tool competence workshop. This here has 4 sessions. It's wonderful. We do this now for about 2 years, and this is getting more and more popular with the 4 sessions. You can email me at brent@bierermeters.com and ask for this. I'll send it to you, and it'll give you great ideas how you can design something similar, change it up, or have us come out and do it for you. And you can customize and tailor this to fit your organization's objectives. So this is great to have. Real quick, we're going to go over update. Let Your Culture of Safety. Here's a website right here, letyourcultureofsafety.com, and you can see we've got some more. Our partnership banner has been growing leaps and bounds. We've got IC Reed. They have their logo in here now in the partnership banner. We picked up Dynagrid recently. The National Rural Electric Cooperative Association picked them up. Killian Power and the Minnesota Rural Electric Association just picked up those guys. And I have a couple announcements to make. Next month, we picked up another large organization, nationwide organization here in America, which we'll announce next month. I don't want to talk about it this month. We already got so much going on here. So real quick, Let Your Culture of Safety. Here is the 2025 promo clip, just a couple minutes that gives you an idea of what we're doing together, what this is all about. ECOS.
ECOS is all about people. Because if we care about people, we want to do whatever we can to ensure that they get to go home.
That's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. It just jumps out at you. Think about the mindset that would have put you in if I'm going to go out and visit crews today. And my purpose is to go out and see how many good things I can see being done.
The terminals are not touching between the hot and the neutral, but I've created a circuit. That hot duct is hot.
Whoa! Because we destabilized, by trusting our assumptions, we destabilized our safety that way.
Pleasure to be here. I mean, I'm sitting in a tent where 61 other speakers so far have been here, now 2 a month. And what I've learned from listening to all these is some of the best information from the heart is coming out of this tent.
Because if that crew leader that you say is your best is not also your safest, you have a problem. In your heart, you need to be prepared to one day go look someone's wife and child in the eye and explain to them what happened.
If we don't get the right root cause of an incident, then we don't get the right solution, and we have not fixed the issue, and now we're going to have it happen again.
I'm not asking you to adopt some wildly imaginative new paradigm shift. I'm asking you to shift your mindset ever so slightly. And I believe that if you can do that, if we can do that together, we will make major gains.
We're going to have the best of the best safety trainers coming in, speaking, and they'll be available to use and their resources to help your utility, help your contractors, your line crews, and they're going to be great sources that you all can tap into. So we're trying to build a coalition of safety that's countrywide, and we'll go even further if that's where it's going to go, to where we're sharing. Too many incidences are taking place, and what's happening is these things are swept under the rug, and it's hush hush. We don't talk about it, but we're going to talk about it. So get involved with Let Your Culture of Safety. It's no cost. We're going to talk about the Energy Wheel Reinvented. I've got an example right here. We just had them rebuilt, the 2.0 version. This is the one that just came out in January of 2026 right here. And you're going to see that this energy wheel is a lot different. It's evolved. It's a renaissance of safety, basically, the energy wheel that you're used to for all these times. Mr. William Haddon, back in 1973, he came up with this energy wheel 50 plus years ago, about 53 years ago now. And he did so because he wanted to create a system, a tool, to where we would have situational awareness of the 10 elements that are out there around us when we're doing our work. Regardless of your trade, regardless of the work you do, he wanted to make these 10 elements, these energy sources that can cause harm. He wanted to create in your mind situational awareness. So he created an energy wheel here, and it's based off things that can harm you. That's why I did a little red background here, kind of a little bloodshed possibly, or hurt, pain, suffering. It's a horrible thing that these things can do, but it's based on the severity of that energy source and the time. So I want you all to remember that. Severity, so the incident, the work of the energy, right? Over time. So we got to be aware of these things, and that's why he created this. But there is one element that we're going to discuss that he did not add to his energy wheel. I believe it was more of a theory, energy wheel theory. Let's go into it. Here's some examples of energy wheels. There's some great looking wheels, all different colors, a little different shape, but you still got the wheel circle, right? But we got the Quanta. Quanta has a really cool one, and we got different varieties of these energy wheels. But here's what the energy wheel that's been out there for so long that we follow. Basically, we have a system that's built on rules and compliance and systems, and that's good. That's good, and we need to have these things, these regulations. We got to do these things, Absolutely. But after training linemen for all these years, going into cubicles and operations managers, going into talk with the superintendents, I go in there, the safety guys, I go in there and I'm seeing these energy wheels all around the country, different varieties, different companies make a different energy wheel, but it's the same theme. Now just keep that in mind, same theme. We have serious injuries and fatalities, your SIFs. And basically over the last few decades, those SIFs have flatlined. All right, so if you're in a hospital and you see a situation that flatlines, that's not good. That's not good at all. So in other words, we do more things. You can see these words. You can see these words. We do more things and we think this is going to make it all better. But folks, it hasn't made it all better at all. That's the problem. And that's my frustration. So going in and doing these trainings and seeing these linemen and hearing all these stories that happen and the safety stand downs and people getting fired and reprimanded and people losing their jobs when they didn't have anything to do with an incident, but we got to have a scapegoat so they lose their job. So that's what we're seeing. So it's command and control. And it's things that we have to do. That's how we're going. We have to do these things. Things that can harm you. Right here. There's one element that has been missing from the things that can harm us. Energy sources. We as human beings, we are energized. Every cell in our body is energized. If every cell in our body is energized, does that not mean that we're an energy source? And so we add that energy source, people, public and employees, they can cause harm. Absolutely. Somebody driving down the road, you got a crew working on some right-of-ways, easements, you got your cones out, and somebody driving down the road is texting and driving, or they have a heart attack or something strange happens, this 1 in a million kind of thing happen, that the public can cause harm to your employees. We got to include that. That's a source of energy, all right? So then we have the typical, the normal items that have been there ever since. We have radiation, we have chemical, mechanical, sound, electrical, gravity, motion, pressure, and temperature. That's what has been on there for all these years. But public and employees, that's really what's behind the root cause. Remember Jimmy Vaughn talked about if we don't talk about the root cause, then we never get a solution. And I'm telling you folks, when somebody makes contact with an electrical line, then typically we hear something like, Johnny forgot to wear his rubber gloves and made contact with the conductor. Johnny lost arms. Johnny is no longer with us anymore. That's what's going on. But is that the root cause? So here we go. Here's that energy wheel, reinvented, side 1. Again, the red and side 1, that represents things that can harm you. And then we got here, the green is positivity and growth. Red, potential hazard. And remember, people in the public can be a hazard. The guys on your own crew, they can be a hazard. Energy wheel, reinvented. These are critical hazards that if we experience these critical hazards on our team, then we've got to identify these. If we are hearing excuses, the blame game, complacency, we got complain, defensiveness, all these things, the emotions, excuses, all these things, the isolation, we isolate ourselves from each other on the crew even. Insulating, we insulate ourselves, right, from each other. There's negativity. And then checkbox, we go to do the check boxes. No, this ain't no checkbox. That's got to stop. No, these are action items that we must learn and be educated in. These are the soft skills that we need to identify, mitigate. We're going to eliminate. We're going to substitute. Huh? And then if we see one, then checkbox it. We're going to identify it. We're going to pause, and we're going to restore team. So simple. The Energy Wheel Reinvented shows you exactly what to do. It's all outlined perfectly. Now, we have a lot of municipalities, investor-owned utilities, cooperatives, and contractors that are taking this Energy Wheel Reinvented and they're implementing it as their safety tool. Hierarchy of controls. We've seen this. Folks, we've had the hierarchy of controls for how many years? I call it a hierarchy of illusion. Hierarchy of illusion. And the reason why I call it a hierarchy of illusion is because we've kept the people out of the loop. We've kept the people out from being on top. No, without the people on top, how are we going to properly eliminate, substitute, minimize, and watch over each other for our personal protective equipment if we don't have the people on the top? So this is not an illusion. This is your electric reality, your energy reality, your power source reality is right here. So this has been a really neat process, something that for several years I've actually been meditating on this Energy Wheel Reinvented, just because leaving out the people was an oversight, huge oversight, which we as organizations and also individuals, we've got to do the opposite now. We've got to bring people back to the forefront, because why? Because these are things that can help. Your own people, we can actually train these skills starting in apprenticeships. Day one, start training those leadership skills and communication skills, and get your people to have a new mindset. And we're going to talk about these 10 elements. So your team, there's 10 elements here that create team. And we're going to discuss those 10 elements briefly. So side 2, what we have here is blue, is team mindset, higher consciousness. We have a blue sky here today in South Carolina. So that blue sky right there, when I look up, I see that blue sky. I think it's just flat beautiful, but it's higher consciousness. There's no storms out there when you see the blue sky. That's how we are when we think out of the higher mindset, the right side of our brain. What happens is there's no storms on the crew. Think about that. It's a higher consciousness. We gel, we have synchronicity. We come together collectively. And that's so important these days. And again, we have the green for positiveness. Here's a critical task. These are a lot of these things you guys have heard. You guys have done this. Job briefs, identify hazards. Now remember, when we're talking about identifying, eliminate, mitigate, identifying risks, eliminate, mitigate, the team, all these things, remember from side 1, those things that can be hazards. We got to remember these things. It's not just going to the job site and looking at our environment and say, oh man, it's wet grass here. Oh wow, there's some rocks over here. We got to be real careful we might trip. Or you're working some of that low country here in South Carolina and maybe there's some gators. You got to identify those gators, water moccasins, things like that. We don't know the traffic, right? Well, those are in your environments. We've always recognized that environment was that which is around you. But the true word of environ means that which encapsulates, that which surrounds, encompasses, your mind. It never really originally meant the physical environment. It means the environment. So we need to identify these things that's happening between each other. And if there's some issues that are being identified, we got to eliminate, we got to mitigate, we got to substitute. So we need to return, and then that checkbox right here, look at that, return home safely to family team. That's what this is all about. That's what the Energy Wheel Reinvented does. The 4 team elements. This is so critical to study these and learn these things. Safe to be included, safe to learn, safe to participate, safe to challenge the status quo. Energy Wheel Reinvented really challenges the status quo tremendously. Why? Why are SIFs staying the same? Because we keep doing the same thing over and over. That's why. So the Energy Wheel Reinvented, what it does is it brings accountability, not just to the organization, which needs to be shared amongst organization to their people, their employees, and from employee to employee. It's got to be all around, trickle down, and from the top down, from the bottom up. That's how we need to have individual accountability as well as organizational accountability. That's what Energy Wheel Reinvented does. And we have to make it safe to be included. It must be safe to learn, safe to ask those questions, safe to present your concerns to anybody on that crew. It has to be. And let's challenge that status quo. Let's evolve. Let's not stay stagnant, flatlined, right? So the instructions, how to work this safety tool, the EWR, how to work this safety tool, is given for you all. We want to select the team skill element. We got to build these soft skills. And the reason why we got to build them is because our system has been squashing these soft skills for many decades. And it's not our fault. I like to share that we are forged out of chaos. From when we're little children, we go through things and we shut down. We tighten up and we don't communicate very well with each other because we gotta hide things. We gotta put things to the side. It's not safe to share at all. We'll be made fun of, ridiculed. So we gotta select these skills and we gotta teach and train and practice them. You got to discuss characteristics of each sub-element. So you have the 10 elements of things that can help you, but the sub-elements, we've got to discuss. What do these words mean? We got to talk about what these words mean, and we can activate it once you get the meaning of that word. We got to share real-life examples out on the field, back at the service center, in the office. We got to share real life examples and let's talk about these things. Practice the selective element on company grounds and in the field. Let's put it to practice. I like to, when we're doing job briefs, before we do training out in the field, I like to get everybody, I like circles, okay? I really like circles or a half arc or half moon, whatever. I really like circles, all right? And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna practice. We're going to practice that in the field. And during the training, what happens is, or the work actually, the task, you recognize these key words. The reason why you recognize them so readily all of a sudden is because you practice them. And it is amazing. I've seen crews within hours turn the table over. And before you know it, and when they start practicing, oh, you think it's okay? Wait. Then if you think it's okay, maybe if we do the task in this method, maybe it's not safe because you think it's okay, but you don't know that it's okay. Okay? So that's how you look at things. It's just a different twist, a different tone. And then what we're going to do is we're going to post-review and measure success. So afterwards, the job's not done. Now, just get this in your heads. At post-review, we're still working. We're still getting paid, but we're going to review and measure success. That's how you measure success. You can't measure Energy Wheel Reinvented with a tape measure. No, you measure it by vibe and frequency between one another because we're energized beings. If we're energized beings, then we have this frequency that we connect with one another, or we're disconnected from one another, the same as well. All right? What did we do right? What did we do right? How can we improve? We need what we did right. This is so important. I really want you guys to practice this. What did we do right? How can we improve? This is the positive. This is the green part of the Energy Wheel Reinvented. It's the positive side. How can we improve? What did we do right? Let's talk about these things. They're important. Here's something that came up with a few years ago. I was training Your Electric Realities. It's another session that we do. But this is an AC sine wave, alternating current, right? Sine wave, you guys are familiar with that. But I like to call it alternating consciousness. And the alternating consciousness actually is our human construct. And it's a choice, basically, that we make every single day. When we wake up, we get to choose which window that we're going to work out of. Okay? So which window are you going to work out of today? Because if things aren't going so great for you, it is amazing how easy it is to turn it around when you still keep a positive mindset in light of your situation. So in other words, you don't allow your situation to control your emotions. You don't allow that. What you do is you allow your character, the essence of who you are, to do the right thing, regardless who's around you, regardless if you're on your own, if you're in your car just thinking about things, someone cuts you off. Are you going to let that person that cuts you off on the road control your emotions? Control who you are? How do you know that they didn't have a situation happen as far as a medical situation? How do you know that? Maybe they're in a divorce scenario. Do you know that? And they just got off the phone, they're super upset and they can't even think straight. You don't know. So don't allow other people to affect and lead your emotions. We want you to always practice staying on that positive side of that alternating consciousness. Create that strong person that you were created to be from day one when you came out of the womb, basically, right? You're hatched out of the egg, all right? And we want you to work on that strong, positive side. Because if you're working safely, right, the circuit's closed and you're energized and it's all about your attitude. And that's the crest. That's where you reach maximum team potential. You don't want to be down at the trough right here. That's the opposite of crest. That's the lowest, right, point of human connectivity. This is a dangerous work zone down here, folks. Huge danger. Negative, bad things always happen. And it's energized by following emotions. And guess what? Emotions typically, which are negative, are things that you made up in your own head. They're not even real. Now think about that. When you are on the positive side, that's how you were created to be originally, is just do the right thing. That's what's real. Now when we allow our emotions to control us, we get assumptions. We start thinking things that has nothing to do with the reality of what's going on. So we need to live on the positive side where good things happen. And that's a safe job site, folks. Very safe. All right. So we're going to talk about these 10 elements right here. Communication, inclusiveness, participation, investment, leadership, status quo, well-being, learning, attitude, team. Now, you may have noticed that I have not said anything about safety yet. A lot of folks think safety is the first priority. And they say safety is the target. Safety is our goal. We're not going to do that. That's the wrong aim. That will never be a bullseye on your dartboard, ever. And this energy wheel reinvented proves it. Okay, here we go. Mr. Henry Ford, coming together is the beginning, staying together is progress, and working together is success. And we're going to talk more about what true success is. Team, a group of people who perform individual tasks working together to accomplish what? Team objective. That's what we're going to be talking about right here. Communication. You all can read this, so we're just going to go through it. One of these words, these are sub-elements. One of these sub-elements, probably when you go over these, will jump out at you personally. And I would take that time to talk about that one sub-element when you go over the energy wheel reinvented and discuss that one sub-element. Why is that important to you? Give us a real life scenario why that's important to you. And we needed to go over these things. It's so important. And we go. Brian Tracy, communication is a skill that you can learn. Highly recommend that you as an individual and also your organization have a collection of books as far as communication skills, leadership skills. Have them near you. Have them in your company where somebody could sign out a book, they can study it and bring it back. And then get these books also in your home for your personal studies. Okay? Don't be watching the games all the time. When you know the stats of a certain player in a certain sport, more than you know your brothers that you work with on your crews. What's important? Are you your brother's keeper or are you the goalkeeper? Think about that. Here we go. Inclusiveness, again, Pick out these sub-elements. What jumps out to you? And talk about them. Inclusiveness, the practice of providing equal access to experience and engage in all opportunities and resources for your entire team. And when I say entire, that's what we mean. We mean entire team. We're talking about the folks that are in the office that maybe sign the checks, maybe the folks in the office that are getting in the calls, hearing some complaints from time to time, but a lot of times our organizations will keep them out of some of the safety values that we share as an organization. No, we got to include everybody. The folks doing the job and the folks behind the scenes. Remember that hierarchy of controls? Read that again and you'll see what that's all about. It's not just engineering. What about administrative? All right? Some administrative folks, they have maybe low administrative duties, but they're still part of your team. Participation. Mrs. Margaret Mead, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed people can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. I have personally witnessed folks that had had issues within their organization overall, that have one person, they started learning about safety. They started learning about communicating. They started buying these books, studying and reading. And what's really amazing is I have seen changes in large companies because of one person and small companies because of one person that said, hey, we got to do this differently. And they got people to buy in and changes are happening. It's amazing. I love seeing that, the difference. All right? Right here, investment. This is what I want y'all to learn. So years ago, I had an own company back in Arizona for about 27 years. And when I had that company, I learned one thing that stuck with me from the very beginning years. And that one thing that stuck with me is this word right here, investment. I learned that we are to invest in our people, and we need to also invest in yourself. You as an individual. You have to invest in yourself and your people. By doing so, you're going to have the best returns. Now, we're talking economics here of people. You're going to have the best returns from your people if you invest in them. Don't just try to get the job done, try to collect the profits and all that. That's not how you do business. You have to invest in people. The people do their work and they make it happen for you automatically. We got to take right here the sub-elements, importance. Make sure that they feel important. Ownership. You take ownership of this investment. You got to. Right here. Intentional. You got to make it happen. It's got to be right here, and you got to just be intentional about doing the investment. Protection. You got to protect your people. Be thankful, gratitude, support, reward, and have goals. It's awesome. But team goals, not just individual goals. Yeah, we got those, but team goals. What team goal do we have today? What are we going to learn? Investment. Taking ownership of supporting your team by showing gratitude, giving support, intentionally protecting the importance of belonging. Do that. Right here. Leadership. Now, this is a skill that everybody has in themselves. You have leadership gift inside everybody watching this. All of you do. The thing is that our society, our construct, tends to squash these gifts. We got to build these gifts back up because you got it. We got to rediscover. I call it rediscovering your superhero. You know, everybody's got these superheroes. All right, but what happens is they basically, all these superheroes are substitutes for your superhero. We got to rediscover your superhero, and it's there. Leadership skills, we got to work on right here. Mr. Ken Blanchard, the key to successful leadership today is influence, not authority. All right? Y'all remember this? Energy wheel. The 10 elements that can harm you. We build our command and control center from authority, making people do these things. No. EWR, what it does is it creates an environment. Remember, environment, mindset, it creates an environment to where your people want to be in compliance. They want to follow the rules. Not that they have to, but now they want to. That's what this is all about right here. Right here. Leadership, connectivity, competence, consistency, credibility, honesty, courage, and caring. All great traits of a leader. The status quo, in order to discover, in order to challenge the status quo that's there has to become vulnerable. We have to accept feedback, openness, be the example. We got to be evolving, and it's got to be a culture. Now, as much as status quo can cause harm, the new status quo, we're going to change the status quo, and we're going to make it to where this becomes our status quo. So the status quo can go from being negative, and our status quo can be flipped, and we can get into a positive status quo. That's how it becomes a core value, a culture change, right? The riskiest thing we can do is just maintain the status quo. It's what we've been doing, and it's got to stop, folks. All right, well-being. This is something that a lot of utilities, a lot of folks, organizations are starting to recognize, and they're starting to work on this. And it does take work, again, intentionally, right? So this element, well-being, the sub-elements are so important. Contentment, performance, financial, behavior, spiritual, physical, mental, quality. These are all super important, and they have to be dealt with. Behavior. So what happens is well-being, we see performance, we see behavior, human performance, human behavior. You all have seen these things, HOP, right? So what the Energy Wheel Reinvented, what it does is it takes that human performance, human behavior out of the package, and what we're going to be working on is human potential. Human potential. Me, the greatest person I could be is when I help you all become the greatest person you can be. If I don't do that, then my human potential, right, is like no good. It's on the negative side of that AC sine wave, alternating conscious sine wave. Learning, continuous learning. How and why, acceptance, continuous questions, answers, practice, training, skills. To me, learning, what I've noticed traveling, training linemen for 10 years, is when I have an individual or talk or spend time with an individual that's in front of me and their mindset is continuously learning, those are the very best people that you have on your team. They're not necessarily the very fastest person on your team. They're not the one that gets the jobs done, right? They're, as far as quickness and the work orders completed, necessarily on a very timely basis, but they're the safest people and they connect better with others. That's who you want on your team. Continuous learning. Never just be happy with the same old, same old. Always learn. Here we got attitude. This is a huge one and super important. Attitude. Your team member's mental position of thinking and emotion about someone or something typically reflected in a person's behavior. Zig Ziglar, your attitude, not your aptitude, will determine your altitude. Remember the energy wheel, that alternating consciousness? We've got to have the altitude. Man, I want to come out here, I want to see blue sky. I don't want to see gray skies. I don't want to see depressed people and storms destroy things, cause damage. And we don't want storms on our team. We want blue skies on our team, and we get higher altitude. Okay? Team. Look at those words. See the sub-elements? Synchronicity, free energy, productive, potential, success, efficient, culture, equals safety. Here we bring up the S word. The S word. This here, because we focus on safety first, what has happened is we created, it's our fault, we created a culture that doesn't focus on the team first. Notice how when we focused on team, all these benefits that we receive. And the very last benefit that we want to mention, the very last benefit, a byproduct of team, is safety. See? So when you focus on team, and that is your target, team is your goal, you will get safety. You will every time. We got to reshape what we've been trained. It's detrimental. We got to retrain. Michael Jordan, talent wins games, but teamwork and intelligence wins championships. Helen Keller, alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. That's a true story, folks. That's where we got to be. In the EWR, guess what? It focuses all on team. That's why we have side 2, where the other energy wheels that have been produced in the past, they only had one side. But how come we never talk about the other side of the coin? There's always two sides of the coin. Every story has always two sides. How come we always talk about the one story? When we are negated, we're the story. Team's law, you all can see that. Connectivity of team is proportional to the influencing mindset. It is inversely proportional to resistance. You guys heard of Ohm's law? Team's law works exactly the same. We're electric beings. It has to work the same. This isn't something that's been hiding from us. We knew this was true, but we focus on the noun and we don't focus on the verb. Us. We get the job done. We're the verb. Electricity is a thing, but we're the verb. We're the action. We got to talk about where the action proceeds from. We're one of the sources of energy. Let's talk about that. Energy Wheel Reinvented. Focus upon the physical and mental aspects of our essential awareness, right? Side 1, things that can cause harm, but we have side 2, which we really want to focus on. By the addition of people as energy-based safeties, 11th and final element, encouraging team awareness. Wow, that's what this is about. We got to encourage team awareness. And we train, we practice activating these skills. They identify all situations. They develop empowering activation of team. And you create action plans. Think about this. Action plans, team mental simulations. Isn't that, would that be wild? Actually create a team mental simulation and practice that? Team building models. We're going to execute team building models. And by doing that, hey, let's get a circle. Tell me 3 whys why you do this job. I want to know 3 whys. And typically you'll hear my wife, my spouse, my children, my family, my friends. That's why we do these things. Now, when we talk about, we work with linemen. So I'm a lineman. Oh, okay. But why do you do this? Because you're a lineman? No, it's not your whys. You do it because of your family, your friends. We do it because of each other. Bierer Meters, we give back. Why have we been giving back for so many years, for so long, to so many people? You are a why. Without you all of our why, how are we ever going to manufacture tools for you guys? How are we ever going to keep you all safe with our tools? That's our why. You all are our why. This is so simple. Here we go. The EWR, it fosters team consciousness, team connectivity, and team-free positive energy. And you all can read this. We got to talk about this team-free energy. Team-free energy is similar to Nikola Tesla, where he found free energy from the ether, right? He was able to collect this free energy, antennas and things like that, just out there. And we got the ground. Well, your bodies are from the ground, and the electricity goes in the ground. Your bodies are dirt and water suits, so you're a walking, living, breathing ground plane. So you're full of this energy as well. Well, we share this. We have vibrations and frequencies. That's what he said, power, frequency, and vibrations. You guys have power, frequency, and vibrations. You guys know when someone comes into the room, they got bad vibes. But you also know when someone comes in the room, if there's good vibes coming from these people or from this person. You know it for a fact. You know whether your leaders out there are in it to win it or they're in it for a paycheck. You can feel that frequency and vibration. You can. Practice. You'll see. And you know what? If you're in it for the check, man, you're actually a hazard on the job site. Okay? This nurtures, EWR, nurtures the byproduct of physical and mental well-being, positive team support, building team respect. And this creates, right here, team value, team safety, and that is what team potential is. Team potential does all these things. And safety, I like this. Safety is not a program. Oh, what? Safety is not a program. Can you believe that? Hey, we got a good safety program today established. No, I don't want you all talking about safety as a program no more. Safety is a leadership decision, and remember, each one of us are leaders. Remember that. It's a leadership decision, not a program. And they're available. You all, this is our cost, $12. That includes the handling and plus shipping. We can put your logo up here at the top left of both sides sides 1 and 2. We can do that. The costs are going to be a little bit higher depending on printing quantities, things like that. If they're small quantities, the batches are going to be much more expensive. So, but we can put your logo on. So that's something to think about. And again, always recognize your why and ask one another, what is your why? That's part of the reason why those circles, we get in those circles, those team huddles, and remind each other about your why. You know when Johnny on your crew is not doing so good today. Remember we talked about him at the beginning of this, Mr. Johnny, and there are some Johnnies out there that don't come home. There's some that lose body parts. Often, way too often. But folks, let's recognize that and let's make sure Johnny has an arm around him. Comfort him and say, hey man, I'm here to help you. In our industry, it is 5 times more likely that someone takes their life than dies from an incident on the job site. 5 times. The highest in our industry is our industry, 5 times more likely to take their life than die from not putting on those rubber gloves and making contact with the conductor. Think about that. We've been on the wrong track. We've been talking about the wrong thing. The right thing to talk about is Johnny. The right thing to talk about is one another. And you're going to see good things happen. And safety is a byproduct of team. Thank you all. Bless you. And hope you enjoy this. And your contact information will be on here. Mr. Jeremy will put it on the slides. And share Energy Wheel Reinvented with everybody, all industries really. Let's get it out there and let's create team environments. Thank you.